The Sensex and the Nifty hit a record high led by auto and consumer durable companies. Nifty closes above 24,400 for the first time. Inflows into equity mutual funds up 17% in June, hitting a new record high, coming in above 40,000 crores. The SEBI-appointed panel to curb speculative trading in derivatives is likely to call for increasing the minimum lot size of contracts by at least 4 times. May also recommend restricting weekly options to just 1 expiry per stock exchange per week. That's an exclusive. A solution cannot be found on the battlefront, says Prime Minister Modi at a summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Adds only a dialogue can achieve peace in Ukraine. Prime Minister Modi also calls Russia an all-weather friend and a trusted ally on the final day of his visit to Moscow. The Uttar Pradesh government waives registration fee for strong hybrid vehicles. The move raises hopes that other states may follow suit. Maruti, Toyota and Honda will be the key beneficiaries. 5 Indian Army personnel are killed after militants ambushed their convoy in Jammu and Kashmir's Coutdown. This is the second attack since Sunday. A manhunt underway to find the culprits. More than 48 hours after the hit-and-run incident in Mumbai, the police arrest the main accused, Mihir Shah. He's the son of a Sena leader who's a close aide to Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. The car rammed into a two-wheeler, killing a 45-year-old woman. The special investigation team highlights negligence by event organizers as the main reason behind the Hathras Stampede that killed 121 people. Also holds the local administration responsible. The UP government suspends 6 people, including the sub-divisional magistrate, on the basis of the report. US President Joe Biden hits back at critics within the Democratic Party who urge him to not seek a second term. Biden says he's committed to running the race to the end, dares his opponents to challenge him at the Democratic Convention. Less than 3 weeks to go for the Paris Olympics. Golden boy Neeraj Chopra hopes to become the first Indian to win 2 Olympic gold medals. We profile India's ace javelin thrower. Well, all of that and more coming up for you. But as always, let's start with the day's market action. The Sensex and the Nifty hitting a new record high today after a steady session. The Sensex gained nearly 400 points today and the Nifty was higher by about 0.5% or 112 points higher. The Nifty Bank up 143 points. The mid-cap index up by about 200 odd points today. So strong move coming in there. It was autos and FMCG that led the way today. The Nifty Auto Index gained over 2% today, a gain of 563 points. FMCG a percent higher there, almost 580 points on the FMCG index. So strong moves for those two sectors. And in the world of mutual funds, inflows into equity schemes surging by 17% in the month of June, with more than half the inflows coming in from thematic funds. Sectoral funds have seen inflows rise by 16%, while debt mutual funds have experienced an outflow of over 1 lakh crore rupees. Inflows into systematic investment plans remain strong for the month, crossing the 21,000 crore rupee mark. So that's the latest there as far as the mutual fund data is concerned. But there's more market news. A CNBC TV18 exclusive, the SEBI-appointed panel to curb speculative trading in derivatives is likely to recommend several measures to curb volumes. According to Money Control, the panel is likely to call for increasing the minimum lot size of contracts by at least 4 times. Now, currently, the minimum size is 5 lakh rupees. The panel is eyeing increasing this to about 20 to 30 lakh rupees. We learned the panel may also recommend restricting weekly options to just 1 expiry per stock exchange per week. But this is still being considered. These are recommendations we are given to understand that are likely to be taken up. Now, the big story. Uncertainty continues for online pharmacies, even close to 6 years after the first plea challenging the sale of online medicines was taken up by the Delhi High Court. Today, the central government has told the court that it has not been able to frame a policy even after the court directed it to do so back in February of 2019. Now, that was after the South Chemist and Distributors Association in October of 2018 moved the Delhi High Court against the online sale of medicines. Ashmit is standing by now with more. Ashmit, this case has been going on for close to 6 years now. Where does this leave the online pharmacy ecosystem? What is the impact and the implication for those businesses?
Well, this leaves a very big grey area, especially for online pharmacies. Not enough clarity coming in either from the government or from the Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court, of course, repeatedly prompting the centre to come out with a policy. You're right in pointing out that these petitions that were filed before the Delhi High Court were filed way back in 2018. It's 2024 now. Nearly 6 years have lapsed, and despite repeated reminders from the Apex Court, no policy decision has been taken by the government. No policy framework has been developed. In fact, very clearly in November of 2023, the High Court, in fact, had expressed its frustration by saying that, look, it's been 5 years and despite repeated requests, there is no policy action being taken by the government. Finally, in March of this year, a final opportunity was given to the centre. 4 months' time was allowed to the centre to go back to the drawing board to come out with a policy framework. Again, no decision, and that was conveyed to the Delhi High Court. The High Court now proceeding to deciding this application, which deals with the issue of whether or not to allow online sale of medicines. What is equally critical is the arrangement in the interim period. What happens until the Delhi High Court takes a decision? Is there or is there no restriction on sale of online medicines? Well, that importantly is again a disputed question. The chemists, which are the petitioners before the Delhi High Court, they argue that they cite a December 2018 order of the Delhi High Court which restricts the sale of online medicines without a valid license. And this is where, in fact, the e-pharmacies are pointing out lies the rub. The e-pharmacies are pointing out that the Delhi High Court says that online sale of medicines is not allowed without a valid license. E-pharmacies are claiming we do have a valid license, and therefore the Delhi High Court restriction order does not apply on us. So clearly more clarity is awaited. The Delhi High Court is scheduled to hear this case on the 3rd of September.
All right, Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. And it's important to note that several e-pharmacies in India are backed by large conglomerates. Tata Digital owns Tata 1mg. Reliance Retail has a majority stake in NetMeds. Pharmeasy is backed by Ranjan Pai's Manipal Education. And medical group Flipkart has its own e-pharmacy business called Flipkart Health Plus. And Apollo Hospitals also has its own app for the delivery of medicines. So, with no policy framework in place, these companies are operating in an uncertain environment. And we will have to wait to see what the court now decides to do. Take a look.
The interpretation of various online companies is that they are simply aggregators. They do not sell the drug themselves. So therefore, they don't need a policy. They don't need a license. Also, the High Court's order is that if you don't have a license, then you have to shut down. Now, if you see the background to this in the law, you need to have a license for wholesale and retail. If you want to sell medicines on wholesale or retail basis, then you need to have a license.
The section 18 of Drug and Cosmetic is very clear, which says no person shall himself or by any other person on his behalf, which makes it very clear that irrespective of whoever is in the chain has to have a license. That's one. Secondly, the High Court order clears very clearly online sale of medicines without license. So essentially, of course, it means the license to sell online. Now, that is definitely there, that there is no license in the Drug and Cosmetic Act to sell or exhibit or stock or offer to sell on the online portals.
Government think that this is okay. There is no real uncertainty. Government's on our side. Business is going on as usual. There is no risk to our business. And therefore, this uncertainty seems to work very well with status quo. It will only get disturbed, and that's perhaps if the courts step in and say, no, you can't have it without a policy. Pharmacies have a license or not is not about a claim, it's a fact. So if you go and check on several of these online pharmacies, they all claim to have a license in some state. I don't know how many states. Many of them have a model where the actual store that delivers these medicines to you is licensed. Often it is through franchisees or shops owned by a subsidiary.
Well, reactions coming in to that. Now, the Supreme Court has granted relief to advertisers over the issue of self-certification of ads. The Apex Court has directed the Information and Broadcasting Ministry to submit recommendations after consultations with industry stakeholders. The ministry has been allowed 3 weeks to do so, after which the Apex Court will issue necessary clarifications. IT major Cognizant has said that its chief financial officer Jatin Dalal has reached a settlement with his former employer Wipro with a payment of around 4 crore rupees. In a statement, Dalal said he's pleased that the matter has been resolved and is looking to drive Cognizant's growth agenda. Remember, Wipro had filed a lawsuit against Dalal, accusing him of violating the non-compete clause in his contract. Dalal joined Wipro's competitor Cognizant within 12 months of his last date of work. The big story this evening, the UP government has waived registration charges and road tax on hybrid cars. Now, dealers in the state say that customers have received the benefits of this new policy beginning this month. Prices of strong hybrid cars fell by almost 2 lakh rupees on account of this move. Parikshit is standing by with more on the UP government's move and its impact on industry. This is good news for companies like Maruti. Parikshit, they have been demanding this for a long time. Take us through what this means.
The Uttar Pradesh government has decided to exempt strong hybrid vehicles from road tax and registration fees. So this is 10% of your ex-showroom price of your vehicle. So for example, if you buy a Grand Vitara hybrid in Uttar Pradesh or a Toyota Hi-Cross Innova, which is also hybrid, the cost of your vehicle could come down from anywhere in the range of 2 lakhs to 2,60,000 rupees. Now, this is a considerable amount for a customer who's thinking about a hybrid vehicle. Now, how did this happen? This policy actually dates back to 2022 when the Uttar Pradesh government came out with its own electric vehicle policy. The policy said that on electric vehicle and hybrid vehicles, the customers will be exempted from paying any road tax or registration fees. Now, while the clauses on electric vehicles came into effect immediately, for some reason, the clauses on hybrid were not put into effect. Recently, a customer who had bought a hybrid vehicle approached the High Court in Uttar Pradesh saying that he needs relief and he should also get an exemption on his hybrid vehicle because this was said so in the policy and the intent in 2022. So the High Court gave a direction to the UP government and the RTO to start giving exemptions on hybrid vehicles to customers who are buying them immediately because this is what the policy mandates. So now, from the first week of July, the UP government has started giving that tax exemption. So if you go and buy a hybrid vehicle right now in UP anywhere, you will get that exemption of 10%. This is only applicable to the state of UP and not in other parts of the country. However, industry bodies and some companies have been asking for a GST reduction on hybrid vehicles and also a reduction of cess because they feel that hybrids are a very good option, a very attractive option for customers who want to move from internal combustion vehicles to electric vehicles but are worried about range anxiety. What are hybrid vehicles? They are vehicles which have both the electric motor and a fuel tank, and you can run them either on the electric battery or on your petrol fuel tank as well. You have that option. And companies believe that they give better mileage, a better running cost.
All right, Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. And stay with news from the auto sector. Tata Motors has announced price cuts for SUVs. The price of the Tata Harrier has been cut to 15 lakh rupees, while the price of the Tata Safari has been cut to 15.5 lakh rupees. The company has also extended benefits up to 1.4 lakh rupees on its popular SUV variant. Similarly, Mahindra Group has also cut the prices of its top XUV 700 model to 19.49 lakh rupees. The price drop is in line with the SUV's 3-year anniversary in the market. Now, Yes Bank has clarified that the Mint report of a 51% stake sale is factually incorrect and purely speculative. The bank said that the RBI has not given an in-principle approval for any stake sale. The report claimed that the RBI approved a 51% stake sale, paving the way for a new owner for Yes Bank. Now, shares of SpiceJet down 6% in trade today. The SpiceJet board will hold a meeting on the 15th of July to consider and approve results for the third and the fourth quarter of FY24. Remember, the airline has not yet released financial results since the second quarter of FY24. Yesterday, CNBC TV18 had reported that SpiceJet has defaulted on employees' provident fund dues for 2.5 years. CNBC TV18 has found through an RTI query that SpiceJet has not deposited PF dues of its employees since January of 2022. The MSME sector has sought some relief from the Reserve Bank of India, including extending the stress loan account period from 90 days to 180 days. The industry body has raised its concerns, citing the current SMA classifications penalize minor delays and hinder credit access to companies. They also have asked the RBI to review the definition of willful defaulter for the MSME sector. Well, the big global story, President Putin and Prime Minister Modi held bilateral talks in Moscow. It is the second and final day of Prime Minister Modi's Russia's visit. President Putin hosted a private dinner yesterday and gave Prime Minister Modi a tour of his residence and his horse stable. This is Prime Minister Modi's first visit to Russia since the war in Ukraine. At the bilateral summit, with President Putin by his side, the Prime Minister told the media that both leaders had a frank discussion about the situation in Ukraine. The Prime Minister said that a solution on the battlefront is not possible. He also said that President Putin opened up and talked about securing peace. Hours before the Prime Minister landed in Moscow, a barrage of missiles struck Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, striking a children's hospital. At least 37 civilians were reportedly killed. In an apparent reference to this, Prime Minister Modi said everyone who cares about humanity is pained by the killing of children and called for a dialogue to achieve peace.
एक्सेलेंसी, एक मित्र के नाते मैंने हमेशा कहा है कि हमारी भावी पीढ़ी के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए शांति सर्वाधिक आवश्यक है। लेकिन मैं ये भी जानता हूं कि युद्ध के मैदान में समाधान संभव नहीं होते। बम, बंदूक और गोलियों के बीच समाधान और शांति वार्ताएं सफल नहीं होती हैं और हमने वार्ता के माध्यम से ही शांति के रास्ते अपनाने होंगे।
Well, that's the Prime Minister post the bilateral talks. Ukraine's President Zelensky has criticized Prime Minister Modi's visit to Russia. In a social media post, Zelensky called the visit a huge disappointment and a devastating blow to peace efforts. After Russia's missile attacks on Kyiv yesterday, Ukraine retaliated today. Russia claims one person is dead and energy facilities are on fire after a drone attack by Ukraine. Well, before heading to the summit with President Putin, Prime Minister Modi addressed the Indian community in Moscow. He hailed Russia as an all-weather friend to India and a trusted ally. The Prime Minister's called for deepening business relationships between both nations. Later in the day, the Prime Minister also laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Moscow, a war memorial dedicated to the Soviet soldiers killed during World War I. Both President Putin and the Prime Minister also visited the Atom Pavilion in Moscow, which showcases various nuclear innovations. Russia honored Prime Minister Modi with the Order of St. Andrews, the country's highest civilian honor.
हमारे रिश्तों की दृढ़ता अनेक बार परखी गई है और हर बार हमारी दोस्ती बहुत मजबूत होकर के उभरी है। भारत रूस की इसी दोस्ती के लिए मैं विशेष रूप से मेरे प्रिय मित्र प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन की लीडरशिप की सराहना करूंगा। उन्होंने दो दशक से ज्यादा समय तक इस पार्टनरशिप को मजबूती देने के लिए शानदार काम किया है।
Well, the Prime Minister addressing the diaspora and Russia. Staying with international news, Israeli military has issued another mass evacuation order in Gaza. The IDF has confirmed that its warplanes have attacked a school complex in a refugee camp in central Gaza. Meanwhile, the Hamas chief has warned of disastrous repercussions for truce talks if Israel continues to kill and displace people in Gaza. At least 38,193 Palestinians have been killed since the war began last year. U.S. President Joe Biden hitting back at critics within the Democratic Party who urge him to not seek a second term. President Biden said he's committed to running this race to the end and has dared opponents to challenge him at the Democratic Convention. The White House spokesperson denied reports that President Biden is being treated for Parkinson's and has defended the president's health at a fiery news conference.
We have had a comprehensive I just want to take another step back. Comprehensive physical examination. The president has had that. We've given a comprehensive report. We've shared that the past 3 years. Every year that he has had this exam, he sees a neurologist. Just to give you a quote from that, from the report most recently in February, an extremely detailed neurological exam was again reassuring in that there were no findings which would be consistent with any cerebellar or other central neurological disorders such as a stroke, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, or ascending lateral sclerosis, end quote. So that came directly from in February in that comprehensive report that was provided by the president's doctor.
While the White House, they're refuting speculation on President Biden's health. Paytm founder Vijay Shekhar Sharma has sought clarity on the angel tax from the government in the upcoming budget. Speaking to my colleague Aishwarya Anand, Sharma said he expects the government to announce reforms that will benefit startups and the rural economy.
What are some of the expectations you have from the upcoming budget, if you could shed some light on that?
I think it should support a lot of startups, and there is definitely a momentum in startup economy in India. Obviously, there is expectation also on the rural side, so those two sides I'd expect.
And so one important question I want to ask you that DPIIT has recommended to scrap angel tax. So as a startup founder, I want to understand from you that how do you view it?
It's very good if it gets scrapped because there are a lot of confusions around it, and many a times for the right reason, the wrong people get caught or wrong people get entangled. So once any clarification will be also very good. Scrap or not, clarification will be very good.
Okay.
Well, that's Vijay Shekhar Sharma with his budget wish list. But staying with more, Ankur Gupta of Ashiana Housing has called on the government to consider policies and interventions for senior citizens. Speaking to CNBC TV 18, Gupta said that services like assisted living and caregiving services must be covered under insurance. Take a look.
One of the biggest concerns which we're not talking enough about is seniors. And I think as India is aging, and we'll see population changing from being young to older, and as we live longer, I think the biggest challenge we will face in the future is senior citizens. And one of the things I think we should be looking at is the insurance piece of the pie, and we should make sure that not just medical side but a lot of services side gets covered. So if you look west, even services like assisted living is covered through insurances, and I think one of the things we should be looking at in the future is IRDA covering these kinds of insurances.
Well, up next on India Business Hour, less than 3 weeks to go for the Paris Olympics. Golden boy Neeraj Chopra hopes to become the first Indian to win 2 Olympic gold medals. A special when we return. And catch all of CNBC TV 18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. Log on to www.cnbctv18.com for more and live TV streaming. Five Indian Army personnel are dead after militants ambushed their convoy in Jammu and Kashmir's Katwa. This is the second attack since Sunday. A manhunt is underway to find the culprits. The Mumbai police have arrested Mihir Shah, the main accused in the Worli hit-and-run case, over 48 hours after the incident. Reports citing police sources said that Mihir surrendered before the police with his lawyer. He is the son of a Shiv Sena leader who is a close aide to Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. The incident took place in the early hours of Sunday morning when the luxury car rammed into a two-wheeler, killing a 45-year-old woman. We spoke to Pradeep, the husband of the victim. He was riding the two-wheeler when the incident took place and survived with injuries. He told us he was not expecting any justice for his wife's death.
अभी तो न्याय मिलने वाला नहीं है, क्योंकि उसको 24 घंटे का अंदर पकड़ लेता तो समझ में आता था. अभी बताओ, अगर उसने गुनाह नहीं किया तो वो छुप क्यों गया? इसमें कुछ पॉलिटिक्स रहेगा इसलिए वो छुपा है ना. हाँ, अभी वो ऊपर से वो लोग प्रेशर डालेंगे, हो गया खत्म. क्या कर सकते हैं हम लोग गरीब लोग हैं, हम लोग क्या बड़ा वकील नहीं कर सकते.
और उसके बाद भी फिर से
बिल्कुल रिवर्स गाड़ी नहीं ली, मैं उसको जोर से बोनेट पे मार दिया फटका. रुको रुको रुको, 1 सेकंड नहीं रुके. बताओ क्या करेगा? चिल्ला रहा है, रुको तुम. नहीं रुकाया, क्या करूं बताओ.
And from one terrible tragedy to another, the special investigation team has highlighted negligence by event organizers as the main reason behind the Hathras Stampede that killed 121 people. The team also held the local administration responsible. The UP government has suspended 6 people, including the sub-divisional magistrate, on the basis of the report. Well, less than 3 weeks to go for the Paris Olympics. The Indian contingent will be looking to better its medal tally of 7 from the Tokyo Olympics, which was its biggest haul in a single edition. All eyes will be on javelin superstar Neeraj Chopra as he hopes to become the first Indian to win 2 Olympic golds. Matthew Thomas gets us more on the rise and rise of Neeraj Chopra.
India's best athletes have their sights set on gold as they head to Paris. And one of these stars who has already had his taste of Olympic gold is javelin throw ace Neeraj Chopra. And there's no doubt that he's looking for more in these games. India's first Olympic gold medalist in track and field, he's the man with a rocket for a right arm, and he's won every major honor a javelin thrower possibly can, beginning with his historic gold in the Tokyo Olympics 2021. His place in the Indian Olympic squad was sealed with an 88.7-meter throw in August 2023 at the World Athletic Championships. That's higher than his gold medal-winning throw in Japan. Consistent excellence was the 26-year-old's modus operandi before his historic feat, and that has only amplified since the spotlight was thrust on him. In the last 3 years, he has won a series of first and second place finishes, including a second gold at the Asian Games in 2023. As he heads to Paris, Chopra is looking to add to this medal tally and book another slot in the history books as India's first two-time Olympic gold medalist outside a team sport.
Well, he is wishing Neeraj Chopra the very best of luck for Paris 2024. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching the news. We'll continue right here on CNBC TV 18. We're back in a moment with more.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.